everybody, and welcome back to Blanche K's Fitness. It's Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. And it is the last class of February. Oh my goodness. It hadn't really occurred to me that we were almost to March again. And now I have just this image of like the Ouroboros, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, as the month of March, and it's finally like grown enough around in the circle that it can start swallowing its own tail tomorrow. So yeah, God, there are a lot of emotions happening around that. I was looking at my Facebook memories today, and about a year ago was when I was last doing, sorry, it's 9 a.m. I'm tired. About a year ago was when I was last doing anything like event-wise with lots of other people and no masks. You know, I was in Seattle and I was doing a performance capture, motion capture workshop, which was super fun and super cool. And it is so strange to look back at that photo and be like, barely 2 weeks later, everything changed. And everything that you thought you were gonna do changed. It's just like, wow, what a weird, awful year it's been. And with so many points of joy, which just makes it feel even weirder. Yeah, so if you're going through that right now too, I feel you. It is very strange to realize that in 2 weeks it will have officially been a year, basically, since everything shut down. In the United States, at least. I know that things were worse in other countries before they got bad here. So, you know, I'm speaking from my experience as someone living in the United States. March 13th was the day. And man, I am very grateful for this channel, and this channel definitely got a kick in the ass in terms of me starting it because of everything that was happening. And that is amazing, and I'm really proud of what we've achieved here and what we're doing here. But it's also really hard to look back at that person, you know, a year ago and be like, oh man, so many plans and dreams that they had, and had no idea what was coming down the pipeline. Which we never do, I suppose. Waxing philosophical on a Saturday morning. Look, if you can't wax philosophical on a Saturday morning, when can you? Is what I want to know. But, I hope you had a good week. Yeah, good week. Tiring, but in mostly positive ways. Apart from Wednesday. It's okay if you're still laughing at me for that, because I'm definitely still laughing at myself for that. But yeah, pretty good week, and it may snow again today a little bit, add on to the snow that's still out there. You know, as I said, I'm always here for more precipitation in my very, very dry state. Yeah, and then Monday it'll be March. Monday it'll be March. Wow. Oh, it's a lot. It can be a lot to deal with, my friends. And yeah, I want all of you to be kind to yourselves. I mean, all the time, but particularly in the coming week. You know, if you're feeling emotionally all over the place, or like, I don't understand why I'm having such strong reactions to things, like, look, we're hitting the year point. This is the year point. Like, this thing that we thought was going to go on for maybe 2 weeks, and now here it is a year later, and we are still having to distance. So be kind to yourself as we transition into March. And just, yeah, remember to allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. And maybe you're fine. Or maybe it will hit you later, you know? Because we don't all have the same emotional reactions at the same times. You know, because we all process things differently. So whatever you are feeling, it's okay. It's valid. You know, it's been a hell of a year, and we've got more to go before we can go back to anything even resembling where we were a year ago. And we talked a little bit about that last night. Like, normal is not really the metric that we're working off of. We are every day creating a new normal. And that's, you know, true whether or not we're in the middle of a global pandemic. But when we get too caught up on things going back to normal, that's when we start to, you know, codify, like, this specific time was the perfect time, and this is the only time that we should aspire to go back to. And that's always unhealthy, because absolutely no time is a perfect time or even a particularly good time. You know, a year ago, sure, we were able to move through the world without masks and hug our friends and stuff, but you know, Black people were still getting murdered in the streets and nobody was protesting. And we still were under the thumb of late stage capitalism in ways that have become very apparently bad over the last year. And, you know, we were still starting to feel the effects of the climate change century and not doing enough to combat it. So, you know, don't focus too much on going back to a specific time, because that time was never as good as you remember it. Maybe it was good for you personally, but we have learned and changed and grown as a society, and wanting to go back to mythical before times can sound a lot like wanting to roll back the clock on a lot of the progress that we have made. And I don't want that, and I don't think you do either. So yeah, let us move forward in health. I think tonight's the full moon as well, so this is just like a wonderful transition point. As we move from one month to the other, let us move forward and let's see what the new normal is that we can create, and hope that it is a more positive one and a healthier one. All right, my friends. Well, this is our fantastic strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So much fun. I love this class so much, and I hope that you do too. So if you are new to class, hi, welcome to the stream. For people who are new in their first class, still in their first month, what I tell you is this: I do not want you to focus on giving me 100% or 110% or 120%. I want you to give me the bare minimum. And that consists of 3 things: starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. Okay? Those are the only 3 things that you need to focus on. And if you focus on those, you will get an awesome workout. Absolutely. Okay? But you want to start with those foundational points so that you're starting from a stronger position, you're keeping yourself safe and healthier, and B, so that you enjoy the class enough that you want to come back, because that's really the goal here, is we want to be able to create a habit. And if you crush yourself in the first class that you ever do, you're far more likely to go, oh my God, that was awful. Why would I want to come back to that? And it's like, well, that does neither of us any good. So if you just focus on the bare minimum, you will get more than enough of a workout. I promise. If you've been with me longer, obviously We like to ramp up the challenge as we go. However, we're also very big on listening to our bodies. So if you are having a day where you're feeling really tired and worn down, then maybe you need to focus on the bare minimum. And maybe as class goes on, your energy picks up and you go, okay, cool, now I can start pushing a little bit more. Or maybe class continues and you're like, yeah, I need to focus on these 3 things, and that's going to be my success criteria for today. And that is totally fine. All right. So if you're brand new or just coming back to class after a long absence, bare minimum. If you've been with me longer, let's challenge ourselves while always remembering to listen to our bodies and the signals that they are sending, and differentiating between our brain going, I don't wanna, which is fine, love you brain, but you know, we can usually push through that, and ooh, everything is heavy, or I am tired, or I'm just coming off of illness, and I really do need to ramp it back, okay? Always listen to your body. I may not always remember to remind you of that. I try very hard to be consistent about reminding you of that. But if I ever forget to, remember what I'm saying now, which is that you are the one who lives in your body. You are the one who is receiving and interpreting its signals. And I trust you, and you should trust yourself to be able to interpret them accurately and to be able to understand the difference between, you know, well, I'm being a little lazy, but I do have that energy and I think I can pick it up as class goes on, versus, ooh, I think I'm right on the cusp of an injury and I need to like stop altogether, versus I've got stuff going either physically, mentally, or both, and just like I want to do class, but my goal today has to just be got through class, okay? I trust you and you should trust yourselves. And we have not always been raised to trust ourselves when listening to the signals that our bodies are sending us. So always, always know that I want you to focus on that, okay? And know that even if I'm pushing for more intensity and ramping up the like, yeah, rah, 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 if you are feeling like you need to step back, ramp down, I want you to do that always, okay? Always, always listen to your body, listen to yourself, okay? All right, my friends, let's get going, I think. Oh, especially because keeping my legs crossed like that. Now my feet are trying to fall asleep. Don't do that, feet. We've got class. All right, so pre-class checklist. You got your water in whatever water vessel you are using. Hydration, super important. You've got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn it on to high-intensity interval training. Woo! I'm amazed I actually remembered to bring the laundry detergent bottle back downstairs. Yeah, that's the one thing about functional home fitness is you go around and you collect all of this random stuff from different parts of your house, and then you're like, oh, I have to remember to put all this back, because I don't actually, like, my laundry detergent bottle isn't actually useful in my streaming studio, except for once a week for an hour, and there's a lot of week aside from that. So yes. How are you doing on your battery? Hopefully fine. Fingers crossed. All right, my friends, let's do our warm-up. Oh my goodness. I have 20 million apps open, which, you know, feels pretty similar to my laptop where I have 20 million tabs open. It's bad. Every time I close a couple of them, it feels like 5 more spring up in their place. All right, let's get ourselves over to our mats. Hiya! Yeah. So, same warm up for every class, which is nice, gives us a consistent through line. It means that even if you are new to this class, if you've taken any of my other classes, you know what we are about to do for the next 16 minutes. So on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as the horn goes off, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. Hi-ya! All right. So we have a very specific ordering of all of the activities in the warm-up, and the goal is to slowly ramp up our amount of energy usage and to move through different major muscle groups and joints to make sure that everything is ready to go. So for our first couple of exercises, we are just focusing on initial activations of different muscle groups. So when I rock my hips up into the air like this, most of that work's actually being done by my core. You know, I push it a little bit off the floor, but it's contracting my abdominals that is actually pulling my hips up into the air. And I'm getting a little bit of a hip stretch. So my first hip stretch of the day, because I've got my foot over the opposite knee. And so when I pull that knee up to rock my hips backwards, it pulls this entire apparatus towards my chest, and that gives me a nice little active stretch in the hip. So that's a nice opportunity to start loosening up the hips, a very important joint. But yeah, I'm not looking to rock my hips up in the air as high as they can go and bridge as high as I can go. This is all just initial movement. This is me starting to let my brain and body know that we are going to be doing some exercise, and so we need to start turning those systems on. Now we move into our leg sequence. So we start with Jane Fonda. Oh my God, when I was watching Center Stage the other night, I had forgotten that in the warm up for the jazz dance class that she takes, when she's like, oh, I need anything but ballet. At one point they're doing a similar sort of Jane Fonda thing, except they're like, yeah, get that leg all the way up, get it behind your head. And I was like, that's a lot of energy that we're putting into this warm up, friends. Like, maybe calm down a little bit. Oh, I love that movie so much. It's so ridiculous. But yes, we start with our Jane Fondas, with our adductor exercise. So that's lifting the leg away from the midline. And now I'm going to take that top foot, put it flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee, and I'm lifting that bottom leg. And we also want the knee to be pointing up towards the ceiling. Every time I try to use adductors and abductors, I'm always terrified that I've gotten it wrong. I hate that those two words are different by only a single letter. It's like, what is the purpose of having these words if they are so easy to confuse that even somebody who's been doing this for like 2 years at this point can get confused about what the hell she's trying to say. Ugh, so annoying. But anyway, we're lifting that bottom leg. We're keeping this knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Nice, safe position over the foot. So depending on your hip flexibility, you may need to engage some of the musculature in the back of your hip. But now into our beach pose. So foot flat on the floor behind the bottom knee, still lifting that bottom leg. This is the easiest position of these three because we're not trying to balance on our sides. We're not worried about our hips rocking and rolling one direction or the other. We're not having to pull this knee back as actively to keep it in position. This is a really easy position for us to maintain. So we can really just focus in on lifting that leg and on getting to know the sensation of using different muscle groups, you know? So when you have this opportunity, this really focused opportunity to just be like, okay, what does it feel like when these muscles are activating, are working, are lifting different body parts, you know? And this is how we start to get to know our bodies a little bit better, which is always a really important component of fitness. All right, so now we're on the other side. We're going to do the same 3 things again, starting with Jane. And remember, if you are doing the Jane Fondas on the second side and going, it's so weird. Why does it feel a little bit more fatiguing on this side? Like it's the same exercise, or my legs really that offset? Well, I mean, obviously that could be part of it because we're not symmetrical creatures. But more importantly, this is the 3rd interval in a row that this specific leg has been the working leg, because it was the bottom leg on our first side. So it did 2 intervals in a row, and then we turned around and now it's the top leg again. So it makes sense that it's feeling a little bit more fatigue than you did on the first side. All right, so now again, foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee, lifting that bottom leg. And so you can see that my hip on this side is not nearly as flexible, so my knee wants to cave forward, which is not terrible here because I'm not putting any pressure on it, but that also means that this is a great opportunity for me to practice pulling that knee backwards, maintaining that position, because when we are on our feet, when we're doing squats, when we're doing, you know, jumps, anything that requires us to put a bend in the knee, we want to make sure that our knees are going straight over our feet. And this is a great opportunity for us to practice that, where it's a pretty low stakes environment. If your knee is caving forward, it's not the end of the world, but it also means that there's nothing distracting you from going, okay, how do I keep that knee in line? All right, ending out with our beach pose, just relaxing. Oh man, how long has it been since I've been to a beach? When was the last time? Might have been it might have been a wedding that I went to a few years ago. No, that seems ridiculous. Wow, I don't know, but it's clearly been a while. Because I live in a landlocked state. So I do miss, the beach was never my favorite place, but I do like going every once in a while. And it is definitely something that I miss. Like, just the experience, the sort of meditative quality of the quiet and the sound of the ocean and the sound of seabirds and the wind, and just being able to sort of lie there just feels very, very meditative. All right, now we are moving into opening up our backs and our hips with some active stretching. So we start with our scorpion twists here, and we're just taking one leg behind the body at a time, trying to get that foot flat on the floor, trying to get that knee pointed towards the ceiling, but always making sure that the elbows are planted on the ground, okay? So if you are like, oh, I can totally come over here, I just need to let my elbow come up a bit, well, then you can't go that far yet, okay? And that's fine. That is totally fine. Work up to that positioning, all right? You have to build your flexibility just like we have to build everything else, all righty? Now we're gonna stand. We're gonna hold our imaginary PVC pipe and just start doing nice big torso rotations. We're gonna change directions every 2 rotations, just because this is the only interval that we're doing this on. So you wanna make sure that you are evening yourself out and not just going in one direction, and then you get to the end of the time and you're like, oh, well, darn. Yeah, so make sure that you are changing directions and that you are initiating the movement from your hips, all right? We're not moving the arms anywhere. They're staying in the same position. relative to my head the whole time I am initiating the rotation from the hips. Now, still holding that imaginary pipe, here's our first opportunity for squats. Yeah, so I've got my feet a little wider than shoulder width, and you want to make sure that your knees are going straight over the feet, that they're not caving in towards each other at any point in this. So you may be able to go down to the low point of the exercise just fine, but if your knees start trying to cave in as you stand up, then narrow your stance, okay? Be like, okay, can I maintain the position here? Yes, this is good. I'll practice here for this class, maybe for a few more classes, and then when I feel like I have that strength, I will test again and see if I can do these squats from the wider position. All right, now we go into our Samson stretches. So one leg straight behind us, nice deep lunge, lifting the arms straight up towards the ceiling. Then we stand up towards that front leg and go to the other side. So this exercise is really helping us to stretch out the front of the hip flexor, okay? And we want to really settle in when we get into that lunge. Make sure that your hips are pointing forward the whole time, okay? So you don't want your hip to try and open out towards the leg that's behind you. This is like a warrior two. That's not what we're doing. All right? Hips are always pointing forward, no matter where you are in the position. All right. Now we take our wide squat, hands on the knees, so that helps keep the knees in that nice safe position. And we're just twisting. Now we're twisting the upper back. The scorpion twists really got at the lower to mid back. Now we're bringing the upper spine into the party by bringing one shoulder in towards the midline and then the other. And the shoulders are the only things moving, okay? So we're not letting our knees cave in as we bring our shoulders in. We're not coming up and out of the squat position at all. We're just holding steady and just moving the shoulders, all right? And this is our last active stretch for this sequence before we move into cardio, all right? So let's start off with jumping jacks. Yeah, and again, yes, we have hit the cardio section. However, we are still not at 100% energy output, okay? This is still the warm-up. So as you can see, I'm doing like bare minimum jumping jacks, you know? I'm not jumping my feet out super far. I'm keeping my elbows really bent so that I'm not having to move my arms through as much range of motion. And I'm just letting myself start to get my heart rate up, start to get my breathing up, but not worrying about going for maximum energy output, all right? We are not getting to 100% at any point during this warm-up. We'll get close, but not all the way there, all right? You want to have energy left. Okay, kick-throughs, our most complex exercise. One hand on the ground, shoulder directly over wrist. Opposite foot on the ground. You want 90-degree angle with that leg, knee pointing up towards the ceiling. I kick the remaining leg across my body. I'm not letting my butt come down towards the floor, and I'm not letting my knee cave forward, okay? And then through to the center, switch hands, switch feet, other side, and we just go back and forth, okay? So this exercise has a lot of components. Take it slow, okay?
And as you get more comfortable, you can speed it up a little bit. You can add that little hop in the center, but take it slow. All right, last but certainly not least, we got burpees. So much fun. All right, remember, we jump to that plank, but then we do a wave push-up, jump the feet forward, and we have that nice big victory clap at the top. And this is going to be the last exercise in our warm-up. So we just have fun with it, move through it. We're not trying to rush. We're not, again, at 100% energy output, but we know that all our systems are on and that our body and our brains are ready for exercise. Yeah, nice, yeah, there we go. All right, let's take a rest. Let's grab our water. Huzzah. Whew. All righty. So I think today we are going to punctuate class with a Tabata interval, a really standard 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, like cardio Tabata, okay? So in between longer, more perpetual motion focused intervals, we are going to have these little bursts of cardio, okay? So that will be additional HIIT inside the HIIT class, essentially. So we're gonna start with one of said Tabatas. And there are going to be two exercises, and they're going to be different evolutions of the same thing, essentially. So first exercise is high knee runs. So we're just back and forth, one foot to the other, trying to get those knees up above the crease in the hips, okay? And if you can't get them that high, then just focus on getting them as high as you can, all right? We're not just like trotting in place. I really do want you to get your knees up as high as you can, okay? And then the second exercise, well, what's the evolution of that? Well, it's flaming scarlets. So same thing, but with our arms in a V above our heads, and we maintain that V the whole time, keeping those elbows straight and keeping those knees coming up above the crease in the hips, all right? So everybody on your mats, let's just get kicked off with said Tabata timer. And remember, the first sound does not mean go. That's why we love Tabatas, because the first sound is rest. Then we hear knock, 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 which tells us to get in position, get ready, get set, and as soon as we hear that horn, we are going. So when we tie that back to starting on time, the Tabata is the place where it is easiest to start on time, right? Because we are, because we're given very clear cues, all right? We're given the knocking that tells us to get into position, and then the fanfare that tells us, all right, cool, now we're moving. So you should always be starting right as that fanfare goes, all right? As soon as you hear that fanfare sound, you are moving, okay? When we do more perpetual motion sets, that's when starting on time starts to get a little funkier, because you're not starting from a still position and you're not able to just like get ready and get into the place that will most easily facilitate starting. You are transitioning directly out of one exercise and into the next. But for now, we just get to enjoy having very clear starting and stopping so that we do not have to worry about that. Oh, all right. Yeah, we're kicking off. We're kicking off with a nice energetic set, my friends. All right, we're halfway through, going back to those high knee runs. So it's amazing how much of a difference there really is between holding our arms up above our heads and letting them stay down like this. You wouldn't necessarily think that it would intensify the exercise as much as it does, but it really does. So if you're like, I don't understand why this other one feels so hard, don't worry, that is totally normal, okay? And as we keep going through, we want to make sure that we are keeping an eye on our form, okay? Oh yeah, all right. Last two, and then we will move on to something a little calmer. All right, so the main thing is that knee height, trying to get them up above the crease in the hips, or if that's not available to you right now, just trying to pull them up as high as they can go. And the fact of the matter is, no one's able to maintain that 100% all the time, okay? One of the biggest things we can learn how to do is notice when we start to, when the knees start like settling down, they're not getting pulled up as high as they could be, and go, all right, time to recommit. And as you get stronger, you will be able to do that more easily. You will notice more quickly, and it will not feel as intense to move back to getting those knees up as high as they can go. All right. Woo! Feeling good, my friends. All right, so next thing we're gonna do is perpetual motion set. And it's gonna be a long one. So we're going from that like really intensive cardio burst to slow and steady, okay? Because we're gonna do 1 minute intervals, and we're gonna have 3 exercises, and we're gonna go through 3 times each, alrighty? So, our first exercise is gonna be, first exercise is gonna be slow leg lowers. So, we haven't done these in a bit. So we start lying on our backs, our legs lifting straight up towards the ceiling, and then we activate our core, sort of contract and introduce a tilt in the pelvis, and that is going to flatten your lower back against the floor. So if you're not, just notice the difference. If I'm not doing that, then I feel a little bit of an arch, and then when I activate, I'm like, oh, okay, there we go, lower back flattened on the floor. Take my fingertips, try and push them underneath, can't do it, okay? And then we will start to slowly lower the legs. We'll stop every 15 to 20 degrees, hold for 2 seconds, and then lower, and then stop. 1, 2, lower, and stop. 1, 2, lower, and stop. 1, 2. And if you're still in it, if your back hasn't come up off the ground, then you can start reversing and going all the way back up. But if at any point your lower back comes off the ground, stop, reset, go again, okay? All right. Second exercise is going to be side-to-side planks. So from that front plank position, shoulders directly over wrists, let the heels fall to the side, come up on one arm, other arm up towards the ceiling, hold for a second, let the judges see it, then back through the center and to the other side, and we just go back and forth, okay? And then our third exercise is going to be, it's going to be squat with a knee raise. So squatting down, I've got my feet about shoulder width apart, so not super wide. Squat down, come up, pardon me, lost my balance. All right, squat down, up onto that first foot, lifting that knee up in the air, then squat and other side, okay? So it's a little tricky, obviously it requires balance. Make sure that core is engaged. And again, slow and steady. All right, so those are our exercises. Slow leg lower, side to side planks, and squats with the knee raise. So everybody back on your mat. Perpetual motion set means that as soon as you hear the timer, you are going. So everybody on the floor, on your backs, get ready, get set, and now we're going. All right, so I will generally for this keep my fingertips by my lower back, and I'll just check in every once in a while and test, be like, okay, can I get them underneath there? No? All right, good. I am still engaged and flattening my lower back against the floor. Another way to do this, if you have a yoga strap or something similar that's thick enough that you can pin it to the ground with your lower back, but thin enough that it's not going to throw off your positioning, then you can use that and just tug on it every once in a while and test whether it's still pinned to the ground appropriately, okay? So that is another way to do this exercise. Oh, all right. Woo! Yeah, it's intense, my friends. If you're over there going, oh, is this supposed to be so intense? The answer is yes. So don't worry, it's not you, it's these exercises. So for this one, we are really working on strengthening and stabilizing our shoulders and our upper back, okay? And our shoulders can absolutely use this help because they are designed to be able to achieve a really impressive range of motion, but that also means that they are extremely unstable. And so we want to make sure that we are helping to strengthen them in whatever way we can. All right, now squats with the knee raise, checking in, making sure that your knees are not caving towards one another, okay? That's still really important. And you want your core engaged as well. It will help maintain the balance, and it will help pull the knee up towards the chest as you stand, okay? So make sure that your core is also a part of this party. I know I say that for just about everything, and you know what? It's because our cores are such a great stabilizing muscle group, and the more that we can work them in, the better we'll be. Woo! All right. your second run through these exercises. So second time around, we're feeling a little bit of fatigue. You know, our muscles are not as fresh as they were in that first set. So when we start, what do we first do? Well, we check in on our form, okay? So for this one in particular, making sure that that lower back is flat against the floor is the most important thing that you can do, okay? And I love slow leg lowers because it's an abdominal exercise where it's really impossible to compensate with other muscle groups, which is a problem with a lot of ab-focused exercises. So really dig in. And now back to our side-to-side plank. So already we know that this is a strength and stamina focused class. We're not worried about speed so much. But in particular with side-to-side planks, we're not focusing on speed, all right? We want to be going very deliberately from side to side, and when you get into the final position on one side, you want to actually hold that there for a second. That's why I say let the judges see it, okay? We're not just going hup, 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 okay? We're getting here, we're holding, and then other side, holding, and so that in and of itself introduces a specific cadence and slows you down, okay? And you want to make sure that your shoulders are engaged the whole time. All right, back to those squats with the knee raise. This may feel a little trickier because we did the tabata with the high knee raises, and we did the, we were doing the slow leg lowers. So this may feel a little more intense. That's fine. That's totally fine, okay? Yeah, but just breathe. Remember, exhaling on the effort. So what's the effort in this one? Well, I would say, standing all the way up, hitting a balance and bringing my knee up. So nice big exhalation as you do that helps to propel you upwards, helps to keep you grounded and rooted, helps to remind you of the importance of breathing while we're exercising, which, yes, that is actually a really important thing to remind ourselves of. And now we go back around our final time. So really checking in, going, all right, that pelvic tilt is not going anywhere. That lower back is not going anywhere. And if I feel it moving and pulling off of the ground, then I need to stop and reset and go back to the beginning, okay? So this exercise does two things. It shows us where our core strength is right now, and it helps us to strengthen our core. So it is a really, really useful exercise for both of those things, okay? Woo! And if you need to holler, if you need to give some sort of big cry of exuberance or battle cry while you're doing something, then I want you to do that. That's the beauty of doing class like this. We're in the comfort of our own homes. So if you want to hoot and holler and shriek the whole time to pump yourself up, to keep yourself invested in what you're doing, then you should absolutely do that, okay? So enjoy yourself. That's the thing. Too often we forget to find the points of enjoyment in a class like this. And, you know, when many of us were trained in PE classes and such, that exercise was supposed to be this really unpleasant experience, it's not surprising that we don't think about enjoying the movement. And there are many different types of enjoyment. For some people, the actual movement generates that enjoyment. Just like, I am moving my body, I am doing incredibly cool things, and that is what I want to focus on. For other people, they may be like, well, I'm not crazy about like the exercise itself, but I do love how strong it makes me feel, how aware of my power, my strength, my stamina. And yeah, that is a totally legit way to enjoy movement as well, you know? So find the things that you enjoy out of this class, and don't be afraid to focus in on them. Don't be afraid to really put your attention towards them. Mm-hmm. Woo! All right. Oh, needing some water today. So, now we're gonna do another cardio tabata. And you know what the exercises are. So, you're ready. Or maybe you're not, and I understand. But just remember, we're punctuating class throughout with this, okay? So, second time around, it's gonna feel harder. We're farther along in class. We've used more of our energy. So, I want you to really focus in and be like, okay, form, form, doing the exercise correctly, all right? Maybe I'm not lifting my knees up as high can be, but I'm lifting them as high as I can, and I'm making sure that all of the other components of the form are there and are taken care of, all right? So, everybody back to your mats. Do. And remember, first sound for this timer does not mean go. Yeah. Knock, knock, knock. Everybody ready, set? And here we go. Okay. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about modifications. Because it's something I can't necessarily dig into for every single exercise. But here's the thing. Almost all of us have injury profiles of some kind, okay? For me, when I was, in middle and high school, I used to sprain my ankles a lot. So my right ankle is not as stable as my left ankle, and that had downstream effects on my overall flexibility in my hips because of the ways that I was compensating for my reduced mobility. And then as an adult, I've had on and off shoulder stuff. I don't honestly know what started it because it predated the injury that really exacerbated it. But yeah, as an adult, I developed some chronic shoulder stuff that I then exacerbated a few years ago while doing a free weight class. So why am I talking about this? Because depending on your injury history, your current mobility, you may have movements or entire exercises that are not good for you to do, okay? If you have shoulder issues, then maybe holding your arms up above your head like that is harder than it is for other people, So one of the most important things that you can learn as you build out your fitness discipline and ritual is what are the modifications that I need to be aware of, that I need to make for certain types of movements, okay? The teacher is not always going to be able to give you those modifications. I mean, if you ask, obviously, but you know, you may not feel comfortable asking in a class setting, or you know, they may not hear you or blast right past it. So one of the most important things you can do at all times, but particularly when you are moving into a new class, a new type of activity, is to know for yourself what are the modifications that I need to do for certain types of movement. So that can be something like, if I have wrist issues, then whenever a teacher tells me to do push-ups or our side-to-side planks or anything like that, I know that for myself, I need to do them from on top of my fists, or I need to get a pair of dumbbells and use those as handles, you know? So, and I don't need to ask the teacher if that's okay. That is just something that I know that I need to do, and then I do it, okay? So it is really important that you understand what the activities are that may cause issue for you, given your injury history, given your body's strengths and weaknesses, and that you know what modifications you can make that will be safe and that will allow you to do the exercise, or to just know when you're like, I cannot do this exercise, even with modifications. I have just not ever found a way to do that. And that's okay too. Don't ever let a teacher try and gaslight you or bully you into doing an exercise that you know is not going to be good for your body, okay? Don't do it. Any teacher worth their salt shouldn't be doing that, okay? All right. Now we're going to do a 5-minute AMRAP timer, okay? So for this, I put on a 5-minute timer. I give you 3 exercises, and you just get to cycle through them at whatever pace you want to. The only requirements are that you have to do all 3 exercises. You can't skip over things or just do one exercise the whole time. You have to do all 3, and you have to keep moving the whole time, all right? So this is a perpetual motion timer. We don't get to stop, rest, drink water. We are moving for the entire 5 minutes. You are either doing an exercise or moving into position to start the next exercise, okay? So, what will our exercises be? Woo! I'm gonna give us our, you know what? We haven't done this in a while. We're gonna do our alternating one-legged squat. So we're taking a nice, super wide position, bending one knee, so we come all the way down into the squat on this one leg, other leg is fully extended. I am engaging my core, trying to keep a flat back, and then I push back up to standing and down to the other side, and we just go back and forth, okay? Second exercise is gonna be chaturanga to downward dog, because that's always a good one for these classes. So we start in our plank, we slowly come down as if we're doing a push-up. When you're almost to the ground, leave your hips down, extend your arms, then push back against your hands into that downward dog, back to plank, and repeat, okay? And then third exercise is going to be TikToks. That's another one that I don't think we've done in a while. So starting from the bounce on your tailbone, arms lengthened, hands together, on one side of your knees. Extend your body out just far enough that you can move the arms over without having to bend at the elbows. Then use your core to pull back into the pike, and back and forth, and back and forth. Alrighty? So those are our 3 exercises. We've got the alternating one-legged squats, we've got chaturanga to downward dog, and we've got TikToks. So everybody on your mats, remember, as soon as that timer starts, you have to start moving, but you can go at whatever pace feels good to you. All right, so this is a nice timer because it gives you a degree of control that you don't have in most of these. Because if you're like, oh man, these alternating one-legged squats are really hard, then you can be like, okay, I did 5, I did 10, I'm good. Now I'm gonna move into the next thing. And you can make that determination for each exercise. I do want you to do at least 5 reps of each thing. It can be extremely tempting on exercises that maybe we're not super crazy about to be like, all right, I did 1 rep, I'm good. But I promise I'm giving you these exercises for a reason. So see if you can do, 5 to 10 reps. And then if you're like, all right, that's enough, on to the next one, that's fine. Okay? You absolutely have that flexibility and that power. All right? Again, remembering to exhale on the effort. And there are plenty of effort points, and moving the whole time. So this gives us an opportunity to really see what draws us, because it's useful to know what exercises we really find pleasure in doing and what exercises we don't enjoy as much. I always recommend checking back in with exercises, even if you really didn't like them at one point. And maybe you check in and you're like, nah, I still really don't. But a lot of times, the reason why we don't like a particular exercise is not really to do with the exercise itself, but more to do, all right, we're halfway through. Don't change anything about what you're doing. That was just a halfway horn. It has more to do with us not having the strength or the stamina or the power to really do that exercise correctly. And so it can feel really frustrating, and it can feel like you're like, oh my God, why do I suck at this exercise? And then as we strengthen, as we get that strength and stability and power, and we build it up, we may go back to that exercise and go, holy crap, that feels so much easier than I remember it being. Why did it used to feel so hard? Well, because you weren't as strong yet. And the other portion of this is that our preferences change over time. We do not statically enjoy one thing for the rest of our lives. It is entirely possible for us to be like, I just don't enjoy running the way that I used to, or I just, feel like I need a break from hiking or from class or what have you. And that is totally fine. And that's another component of listening to our bodies and our brains, yeah? And going, okay, my body and brain are trying to tell me that they're not really into this particular activity anymore, you know? So maybe that means that I take a full break from it, or maybe that means that in addition to this activity, I find something new that I can try out and sort of revitalize myself with, you know? But you should not be afraid to be like, I just don't like this anymore. It's not bringing me pleasure. Because what are the things that I tell you to start with? What's the best kind of exercise? Well, it's the thing that you enjoy and can stick with, okay? That's really what it comes down to. And if you are spending most of your energy while exercising just trying to struggle through this thing that you just aren't enjoying, that's not going to be good for your ability to maintain a habit, to maintain a schedule, to maintain exercise as a tool in your toolbox. Like, it's not doing you any good, you know? It's why when I have clients who are like, yeah, I know that I should try running, but it's just, I really dislike it every time I do it. And I'm like, why on earth should you try it? If running's not the be-all and end-all of exercise, running's not even the be-all and end-all of cardio. If you don't like to run, find something else that you do enjoy, okay? And again, it ties back into how many of us were raised in physical education environments that taught us that exercise was supposed to be this really unpleasant experience. And we carry that with us. So now is the time to deprogram that. Moving our bodies should not be unpleasant. Exercise and fitness and being mobile should not be unpleasant. And if it is, then it's time for you to figure out what you actually enjoy doing and to not worry about shoving yourself into a box that you just do not like, okay? Okay, awesome. All right. Woo! Time for another Tabata, my friends. Oh yeah, this is gonna be the last cardio Tabata, and then we will finish off with a final thing. It'll probably be toe squats, because who am I kidding? But, you know, we're not there yet, so there's always a chance. There's always a chance that it's something different. But for now, we're doing our 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, knock, 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 get ready, get set, and we're going. Oh, this feels so different. Third time through, when we're almost to the end of class, this feels wildly different. So I really want you to focus, to be present, and to never forget what a badass you are, all right? Because we've been working hard today, and you should be proud of that, okay? Remember to engage your core. That's gonna help. Again, when we're pulling these knees up, we don't want to put all of the effort on the quads, all right? The quads are taking most of it, sure, but engaging the lower abdominals is gonna help them to be able to pull the knees up, okay? So make sure that you are not putting the entire onus on your quadriceps to pull those knees up in the air. They need help, all right? And we have the ability to give them that help. All right. Going along, second time through for Flaming Scarlets. Oh yeah, I actually got to teach the young woman who was the inspiration for the name of this exercise in a couple of my classes, which was very fun for me because up until then, I had only known her as this story that my mentor would tell about how that particular exercise got its name. So it was really fun to have her in a couple of classes and be like, oh, I see why this ended up this way. And invariably, whenever she was in class, I'd be like, all right, well, you know what we have to do. Well, we have to do some Flaming Scarlets, because, you know, that's your exercise. And I don't want you to leave class without getting to do your exercise. All right, keeping those elbows straight, not letting them sort of bow down, all right? And we're basically doing Natalie Portman arms in V for Vendetta is how I like to describe it. All right, last time through. So, high knee run. How are those legs feeling? Woohoo! Yeah, I'm doing a lot of cheering today, and I hope you are too, because honestly, it feels so much more fun. Again, when we're talking about having fun while we're moving, while we're exercising, you know, part of that is going, why on earth should I maintain this hushed sense of reverence like I'm at a tennis match or something? No, I want to shout, I want to yell, I want to revel in how awesome it is that I can do a class like this, okay? So really, never ever be afraid to be vocal about what you're doing and about your enjoyment of it, all right? Because especially in, you know, Puritan-focused American culture, we have a tendency to think like we're supposed to be really quiet, and that being reverent about something is like, oh, but I have to be very quiet about it. I can't let anyone know that I enjoy this thing. It's like, no. We have so much around us that we can enjoy, and we should let ourselves enjoy it, all right? And the beautiful thing about doing class at home is that it takes away even that embarrassment shame factor that can catch us when we're in a class with other people or when we're in a gym setting, all right? Okay. Woo! We're just gonna do 5 minutes of toe squats, my friends. Just to finish out class, 5-minute toe squat set. So if you are looking for a challenge today, then here's your challenge. Your challenge is to try to keep moving the entire 5 minutes, okay? If you're looking for a way to ramp up, then that's what I offer you for today. If you're not there yet, then you can take your breaks as you usually can. Make sure that you're doing the same number of reps between each set, or between each break rather. But yeah, if you're like, all right, I want to end on a high note, I think I can do this, then 5 minutes in the grand scheme, not a ton of time. See if you can keep going the whole time. All right, on your mats, my friends, and there'll be one horn in the middle just to tell you you're halfway through. Feet hip width apart, keeping those backs straight up and down, engaging that core so that your torso is not waving all over the place. Remember, you are not actively lifting your heels. You're letting them come up and then come down again naturally as a natural consequence of the movement, okay? So we're not going hoop and then trying to squat all the way down. I am initiating the squat oh, I can't go any farther because of my Achilles tendon, so I will let my heels come up, okay? That's the thing to keep in mind. Oh boy. Let me tell you, we have done a lot with our quads today and our cores. Both of these muscle groups right now, I'm like very aware that I have engaged my core, and I am very aware of the effort that my quads are putting in for this exercise. So we're not going for speed here. We're going slow and steady. We're just trying to keep moving as long as we can. And again, if you need to stop and have those rests, that is totally an option. Just make sure that you're doing the same number of reps between each set, all right? And if you're like, I really want to try to keep moving the whole time, then I salute you. And also, remember that just because you're moving the whole time does not mean that you have to be going super quickly, okay? One last form thing for this, because we're doing it at the end of class, and because our quads are already really fatigued at this point, remember to not let gravity take control, all right? So it can be really easy when your quads are feeling really cooked. Hey, halfway horn. It can be really easy to be like, well, I want to get down there. Gravity wants to help, so I'll just sort of let it collapse. And if you're bouncing around at the bottom, then you know that that's what you're doing. And that is putting really bad pressures on your knees, okay? So I want you to always, always maintain control of the movement, all right? Do not let gravity take over. And that's another reason why engaging the core can be super helpful, because it's pulling upwards. It's providing a counterbalance almost to us moving downward towards the floor. And it's reminding us that we are managing the movement, okay? So core engaged, quads definitely engaged, making sure that you are not bouncing around at the bottom there. Oh, and you know what? What an incredible class this has been. And I hope that you are so proud of yourselves. So proud of yourselves, all right? We are about to head into our final minute, okay? 1 minute left. So if you've been taking breaks and you're like, all right, the end is in sight, now I'm ready to challenge, then see if you can get through this entire final minute without stopping, all right? Breathing, again, exhaling on the effort. So where's the effort? It's when we stand. 30 seconds to go. You are so close. The finish line is right there. We're digging deep, finding those last pockets of energy and patting ourselves on the back because we have made it through an awesome, really intense class. Such a good way to start our Saturday, to keep ourselves strong and healthy, and you should be proud. Woo! All right. Good job, everybody. Okay, we're gonna do some stretching, obviously. Before we go to the mat though, let's do a calf stretch. So find a wall, hands on it, and then I'm reaching one leg straight behind me. I want to keep it straightened, knee straightened, and I'm trying to get that heel all the way down to the ground. And if I need to, I can go backwards a little bit, or if I can't quite get the heel down, apply some pressure against the wall, and that will help to safely move me into that increased stretch. All right, we're breathing. We want to make sure that we are moving into these stretches slowly and not just trying to shove our heel down to the floor, because we do not want our brains to send a signal to the calves being like, hey, it's time to contract, because that's not what we're trying to do. All right, other side. It may feel more or less intense on this side, depending, or it may feel about the same. That is also totally a possibility. And we're bringing our breathing down, bringing our heart rate down, looking forward to the quad stretches that you know we are about to do. All right. Oh, onto your mats, my friends. So, for my favorite quad stretch, for the leg that you are stretching, you want to fold it until that heel is on the outside of the hip, and then pull the heel in as close to your hip as you can. The other leg, I'm just letting the knee fall open. I've got the foot over here. I'm not really worried about it. Okay, the main thing for our working leg is as we lower ourselves into the stretch, we don't want to let the knee come off the floor, okay? So we're moving slowly into the stretch, and that may also, just like the scorpion twists, tell us the outer bounds of how far we can go, okay? So, sorry, choking on my own saliva over here. So now we start to let ourselves backwards, only as far as we need to go to get a really intense stretch along the quadricep, okay? So for some of you that may be here, awesome, stay there. Some of you may be able to get all the way down to your elbows, cool. And some of you may be able to get all the way down to the floor. Wherever you are, take a second to settle in to that position. We're feeling the stretch in the quad. Depending on your extent flexibility, this can be a really intense sensation, okay? So we're gonna do 4 deep breaths. And as you inhale, I want you to visualize the oxygen going to wherever you're feeling the most intensity of sensation in that leg. And as you exhale, I want you to see if you can go just a little bit more deeply into the stretch, okay? So 4 deep breaths, here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And now, carefully back up to seated. Don't move this leg under its own power. Take one hand to the knee, one hand to the ankle, and manually unfold it, all right? I did not use the leg muscles for any of that. Bring the other knee to meet it. Shake them both out in front of you, and then flex the feet, and point, and flex, and point, and circle the ankles, first in one direction, and then the other direction. All right, and now, other side. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So all the same notes apply that we talked about on the first side. And again, we're not symmetrical creatures, so you may find that you can go farther down on this one, or that you cannot go down as far as you could on the first side. Either one of those is totally fine. Just be honest with yourself, okay? Again, form, form, form. All right? So we get to wherever we need to get to for the stretch, and we're settling in, really allowing ourselves to take a second to become acquainted with the sensation, okay? Because, again, we don't want it to sneak up on us. So we'll be like, okay, this feels intense, and this is sort of where I can get to before it feels too intense, before I'm going to want to like contract or fight or, you know, anything like that. All right. And now that I've gotten to know that sensation, now I introduce the 4 deep breaths to help smooth it out, to help make it easier. Okay. So here we go. 4 deep breaths. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. All right, slowly back up to seated. Remember, one hand to the knee, one hand to the ankle, manually unfolding, not using your leg muscles for any of that. Bring the other leg to meet it. Shake those knees out. Flex the feet and point and flex and point. Circle the ankles in one direction and then the other direction. Okay, my lower back's feeling a little tight right now, so I think I'm going to take us back onto our backs. First, we're going to bring both knees into the chest and just circle them with our arms and pull them in. We can rock back and forth a little bit, get a little bit of a massage on the lower back there, and feeling a stretch in the hips, most definitely. And then I'm going to let one leg extend all the way out on the floor. Keep the other knee in towards my chest. And I'm going to pull that knee across my body. All right, so now I've got this nice twist going on. I want you to keep your shoulders flat on the ground, all right? So there's a tendency for the back shoulder to want to pull up and sort of start twisting in the direction that you twisted the knee. I want you to keep that shoulder on the ground. One of the ways we're going to do that is by looking back towards that hand. So I'm looking away from the knee and back in the opposite direction. That's going to help me keep my shoulders flat on the ground. And let's take 4 deep breaths there. Okay, here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. Look back up towards the ceiling. Bring that knee back into the chest, other knee to meet it. Wrap your arms around them again and rock back and forth. All right. Extend that other leg. Doing the other side. So knee all the way across the body. Feeling that nice twist in the spine. Keeping both shoulders flat on the ground. Looking away from the knee to help facilitate that. All right, and you're just really letting this twist settle. And we're going to take those 4 deep breaths. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. Look back up towards the ceiling. Bring those knees back into the chest. Rocking back and forth. Back up to seated. And I'd say that we are done. What a great way to start our Saturday. That was a little more cardio than I usually put into the Saturday class, and it felt really nice just to get those pops of high intensity energy and then to be able to offset them with the more focused strength and stamina work that we're used to. So I very much enjoyed that. I hope you did too. That was a really quad heavy class. All right, so never be afraid to give yourself a post-workout massage, especially for the muscle groups that have really worked hard, okay? That's another reason why we like doing the shower too, like a nice warm shower. It helps to loosen the muscles some more and to just help them cool and come back to equilibrium as safely as possible. But now, well, you get to go through the rest of your day. Holy crap. There's so much you can do, assuming it doesn't snow. Even if it does snow, there's so much you can do. That was the end of our broadcast week, my friends. So we will be back next week, first week of March, for our very first classes of March. So we'll be back on Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. Mountain Time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. Then Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. I promise not to do a hot sauce eating competition earlier in the day. Then Friday at 6 p.m. for Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then back around again to Saturday at 9 a.m. for the weekend kickoff. So please do join for any or all of those classes. They're all lovely classes with their own personalities, and we have a great time. You know that. You're here already. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all of the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. The VODs go up on Sundays, which is tomorrow, so definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a coffee account at Blanche Case Fitness. Your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel, getting us to Twitch affiliate, and just building an awesome community, taking care of ourselves and each other and our society at large, then please do follow the channel. Tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a great time. We have a great gang of folks here. And there's so much that I'm looking forward to sharing with you in 2021. So I hope that you stick around and keep coming back. For now, make sure to finish your water, because that was an intense class. Go have an excellent shower. Go have a good breakfast. I hope you enjoy whatever else you've got planned, and I will see you back here again on Tuesday. Mwah! Have a great day.